have a great guest joining me in just a minute or two, and he has been here in the past. He did a three-part series with me, so if you guys are keeping up on my Monday show, you'll know that I had this guest on, and we did a three-part series on the Beatles and on If Paul is Dead. So if you want it, you have to go back. You have to go back in the archive sections, which you can find at revolution.radio. But there was a three-part series that we did on that, so there was 6 hours dedicated to the Beatles and the Paul is Dead myth, and that was great. And he's been back on this show a couple times, and that is Mike. He has the YouTube channel Sage of Quay and Is Paul Dead? So check those out on YouTube, especially if you are interested in the Beatles. And I'm going to get him back on here. Last time he was on, he was talking about redoing some of his older music, and I want to see how that's going. And then we're also going to be getting into something that he wanted to talk about, which is AI, which I love talking about, and where music is going, because this is very much something that I am starting to become passionate about, because I'm seeing this much like the Napster was back in the day. If anyone's listening that remembers Napster, and the music company kind of shrugged it off and was kind of like, yeah, whatever kind of thing, not to worry about it. Actually, there's some bands that were actually trying to warn about Napster and where this was leading. Metallica, they caught a lot of shit for it too, man. Like I remember Metallica got beat down for that, for going against Napster and stuff, and the whole sharing thing, I should say, of music. And I'm seeing AI, man, and where is it going to end? I don't even know how they stop this, or how they put a noose, not a noose, but how they put a collar on it. How do they chain this down? Because AI is just getting better and better. And if you don't believe me, go on YouTube and just start checking things out. And you're going to be surprised what AI is doing music-wise. And I'm just wondering what this means for musicians. They got to be worried. They got to be. So this is what Mike and I are going to be talking about. So let me go ahead and get him on the show. Hello, Mike. Are you there?
I'm here, Rick.
Hey, you made it. Look at that. See, it all worked out. And it's just great to have you here, man. I was just letting everyone know that they should go back to my Monday show where we did a three-part series on the Beatles and As Paul is Dead. So I was letting people know that you've been also on this show a couple times. And the last time you were here, you were talking about the music project you were working on. You were redoing some of your older things in that. So very exciting. You got a lot going on.
I made a lot of progress, too, so...
Well, give us an update, man. And then we'll get into what you want to talk about, and I just give people a hint because I've been ranting about what you brought up, and I'll let you kind of introduce it. But I've been ranting about it for a while now, and I want to get your take on it. But yeah, what's going on with your music project?
No, so the music project, Rick, as we discussed in the previous show, I'm going back in time to re-record by reimagining them. It's 40 years later, doing a brand new interpretation of that song, and my goal was to do 10 to 12 songs by the end of this year. And I whittled that back to 10 songs. Mm-hmm. And I'm working on song number 9 as we speak.
Oh, nice.
Right. So I've made a lot of progress. And the reason why I push it back to 10 is because I want to release the album on vinyl.
I love vinyl.
And so when I was going through these vinyl sites and taking a look, they're looking at around 20 minutes a side. And so I decided, well, let me just do 5 songs a side, 10 songs for the album, and then I'll give it a little break, and then I'll work on part 2 of this project, because I have a lot of songs that are on the shelf. Mm-hmm. By next year, by 2026, I don't see any reason why I couldn't do 10 more songs in another album.
Very cool.
But it's interesting. The first batch of songs, one goes back to 1979. So that's 46 cool. years ago.
Yeah.
And the other songs go back to between the 1980 and 84 time frame. So let's just say, 40, 45 years. And the songs back then were just pretty much straightforward rock and roll. And as my brother and I abandoned the whole, let's go for a recording contract or a publishing contract, because we just couldn't deal anymore with what the record industry was looking for, because they're looking for templates. They're looking for people to fit into a sound that already exists. They weren't really looking for new stuff. They were looking for people to do exactly what's popular today.
You're right.
And so we got very tired of that. And so we switched to, so we don't care about that anymore. We're just going to write music and record it because we love to do it. And when we did that, what happened was the songs became a lot more complex with arrangements and overdubbing. We did arrangements and overdubbing with the early stuff, but it got a lot more involved as we moved through the 1980s and into the 90s. So that's the other reason why I said, well, you know what? I've got to just make it 10 songs, because if I start getting into the later period stuff where it's very involved with the arrangements and the overdubbing, it could take me a lot longer to get the project done.
Oh, makes sense.
So I said, okay, let's just put a stake in the ground, 10 songs. This way we can get the vinyl out. I'll do part 2, and I'll get that out sometime December of next year. So that's where the project is at right now. It's going really well. It is a lot of work, because even though I remember a lot of the songs, it's amazing what you remember when you go back in time 30, 40 years ago. There are still parts of the song, and you're listening and you're thinking, well, what did I do there, and how did I do that? And sometimes what happens is, well, not sometimes, but a lot of times, I don't have the source recordings, in other words, the tracks anymore, the stems.
Okay, I see what you say. Yeah.
So what happens is I have the whole song mixed. So I actually have to listen to the song very carefully with headphones to remember and jog my memory. Okay, what was I doing there? Or what were we doing there? What was the piano part? What was the keyboard part? What was the bass line? Because sometimes, that stuff gets lost in the mix. But yeah, that's where we're at with the project. I'm very happy with it. I'm moving along. And so for sure, by the end of the year, I'll have that record out.
That's so exciting, Mike. Congratulations. That's very cool, and I'll definitely be buying an album. I'm so happy that you're going to be doing vinyl as well. I'm a huge vinyl collector, so anytime I can get something in vinyl, that's what I seek out. It's kind of my go-to, is if I can get it in vinyl, I definitely will. And so that's very cool. And I see a lot of bands doing that now. They're at least putting out, when I see new albums coming out, if you usually can get it in vinyl. You might have to do a little searching, but they usually where they're promoting their albums, they got vinyl, which is what I go to. You pay a little more, but I think the sound, I'll always say you cannot beat the sound of vinyl through a good stereo. It's got to be, that's a key point. You got to have the stereo for it, but that's awesome, dude. I'm very excited, and yeah, that's very good. And I can see why you said you got to wait for the 90s stuff and later, because it's got more dubbing in that. And if you're doing it the way you said, where you have to listen with a headset and kind of break it down listening to the song, that's going to be more work. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a lot more work, and
for sure,
even when you know all of the parts and how you did the arrangement, it takes more time to sit down and redo it.
Mm-hmm.
Versus just popping out your guitar or bass and maybe some keys or whatever and singing the song. We also did recordings where we ran the guitars backwards.
That's so cool.
So
yeah.
we did a lot of stuff like that. My brother was he's very technical, and so there were things that he did with the recording. I'll call him up or text him and say, okay, do you remember what the heck we did here? Or what you did here? So that's how it's been working, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm really
going back to those old songs. And I've been listening to your songs. You sent me the link to your channel and the stuff and your website, so I've been listening to your stuff. I love it. I love rock and roll, so it's very cool, and I'm excited. I think it's so great that you're bringing back like some of these older songs and reworking them and kind of like updating them, giving them a new look and stuff. I love it. I think it's so needed, and it kind of really bleeds into what we're talking. I know you want to talk about it, so I'm going to let you go on this, because people have heard me rant. I know what you're going to bring up, and I was saying it was kind of what we're going to be talking about reminds me of Napster, and I was saying that just before I brought you on the air. I said I remember the Napster days, and I remember a lot of bands caught a lot of shit for pushing back against the sharing of music, and I said Metallica took a beating for them speaking out against it, and then we saw what happened, and I'm like, I can see AI. I don't know how you harness this and how you pin it down, but I cannot see anything good coming out of this AI. And I tell people, go on YouTube and just start doing a little searching on music and AI, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. And I don't know how, and I know you want to bring up something that you mentioned in the email, so I want to let you go, but I don't know how you stop this, Mike. I don't have the answers. This is going to be a problem. It's
a problem, Rick. One of the big problems is that these AI companies want to just roll right over copyrights.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big, big problem. In fact, some of the big record labels right now have lawsuits against these AI companies. And these AI companies, their position is, hey, it's fair use. And I'm like, no, it's not. How is it fair use? If even when we put stuff up on YouTube, we have to be very careful with regard to copyrights.
That's
and
right.
Even if we believe it's fair use, we could still have an issue where the owner of the copyright turns around and says, no, you can't use it, right? But here we have this thing now because there's a big AI push, not just with music, but with everything.
That's right.
They want to disregard any type of laws that are in place that protect intellectual property
Mhm.
under the guise that, well, it's fair use. And by the way, if we have to reach out to every artist whose music that we want to run through the AI machine to scrape, to learn from, that's just going to inhibit our ability to progress at the rate and pace that we want to with artificial intelligence. And I was listening to a video yesterday about this. It was a music attorney, and she was talking about it. I thought to myself, these companies, they've got to be kidding. Their needs supersede our creative content.
Mm-hmm.
So they're turning around and saying, well, I don't give a crap about the fact that your music is copyrighted. It's just unbelievable to me that this is where it's at. And this stuff is all going to wind up in court. The Copyright Office has already put a draft out there, a draft document, talking about this. And interestingly enough, they presented the draft document, which was near final. And I forgot the name of the lady's name, but the head of the Copyright Office was fired by Donald Trump. From what I could tell, the reason why she was let go was because the Copyright Office was buckling down and saying, no, you just can't go about willy-nilly because you want artificial intelligence to be prevalent. You want it to be everywhere. You want it to be in everything, that you're going to be able to stomp all over people's copyrights. And so when that document came out, I guess it became obvious that they were not going to roll over. I mean, the Copyright Office wasn't going to roll over to appease the artificial intelligence business. She was let go.
Wow.
The reason why I'm bringing that up is not to bring the politics into it, but this is where it's going. Artificial intelligence, in the minds of the people that control things, is far, far more important than your rights. They don't care. And this is becoming very, very obvious. But like I said, the good news is that some of the big record labels have stepped up to the plate and said, no, that's not going to happen. Okay.
Well, that's good to hear.
Well, and the record companies, the reason why they have a vested interest in it, obviously, is because they've invested in these artists. A lot of them also own publishing rights. So if you start to usurp their business model and their profits, and they sense that they're going to get hurt financially because AI is going to generate music, not artists and not the record company. Think about that. It bypasses the record company completely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of record companies, but as a business that has spent a lot of money investing in artists and bands and whatnot, all of a sudden we're going to turn around and say, oh, well, AI is going to do all that stuff for free.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tug of war going on right now, and hopefully it resolves in favor of the artists. And with this AI stuff, if they have to get permission, that's what they have to do. You and I have to get permission if we're going to use copyrighted material.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can't sit there and say, well, my goals and my objectives are more important than you.
It's just another case of the artists that are getting screwed again, and this has always been something that's bothered me.
Yeah.
Is that these, they just, you see the money that, and back in the day it was like record companies as we're talking about. So, I mean, I know it's a little different now because it's kind of, the music industry's changed. But I'm just saying back in the day, I just always knew that the artist, when you start hearing the stories, which are coming up more now because you're hearing people are doing interviews and stuff. So I listen to a lot of interviews by artists that I used to listen to, and they go back and talk about what was going on in this. They were just getting robbed.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this now, this is discouraging enough for a new artist. And I'm thinking now we got the AI thing to worry about. And a lot of people really don't see I don't know how they don't see the writing on the wall. I keep trying to blow the whistle, and I will keep doing it. And that's why I'm so glad that you kind of brought up, especially when you brought up an email. That's another great thing to talk about, because that's another thing going on social media, what you kind of brought up, which I want to touch on. But AI, I'm glad we kind of touched on as well, because this is a problem. And I'm just shocked because now I'm going on YouTube, and the AI is getting so good, Mike. And what worries me is it's only going to get better and better by the day. And there is you can have Elvis singing a Guns N' Roses song, and I'm telling you, it sounds silly to us because we know, but to people that don't know these bands and stuff, they won't know. I don't. It worries me.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And what it's doing is it's people who don't have, who are not musically inclined.
Exactly.
They're telling those people who are not musicians, hey, you can write songs. You're not writing songs. You're not creating music. You're putting prompts in, and you're telling a machine the artificial intelligence what it is you're looking for, what type of sound you're looking for, what type of lyrics or the theme of the lyrics, and then the AI generates it. You're not generating anything.
That's right.
But
And the AI is stealing, right, from other people's work to get that information for that song. Like, that's the way I understand it. Like, AI,
yes.
People think AI is creating it. Like it's making it this song up. No, it's pulling from all the information it's gathered on the internet. So it's plagiarizing something, and it's rewriting it in its own way. It's still stealing, though. Like, people don't understand that.
It is stealing because the AI itself is not sentient. It's not sitting there going,
There you
okay,
go.
give me a little time and let me go to the back room there and let me work on this song that you want me to create for you. No, what it's doing is it has a gigantic database of information that it has scraped from every song that it can get its hands on. That's how it's, quote, learning. So in order for the AI to generate something, human created content has to exist first.
Mm-hmm.
If there were no human content, humans creating songs, then the AI wouldn't know what to do. It couldn't create a song because it has no basis in which to pull the information together.
That's right.
I know a lot of musicians, a lot of artists are very, very concerned about this. You know, one of the big problems is that it's already difficult for musicians and bands to make money to begin with.
Agreed.
The music industry has really essentially eviscerated albums, CDs. I mean, you can still get them, yes, but the majority of what people listen to is streaming. And we get paid absolutely near nothing with streaming.
It's shocking.
It is, yes, it is
it's shocking what artists get paid for each play. Look it up, people. Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I mean, TuneCore, my publisher, keeps track of my streams. And since 2013, when I released my first album, I have 3 albums out. I'm working on the 4th. From February of 2013 through, let's just say, April of this year, there was something like 9 million streams. Okay. So my songs were streamed over the course of 12 years, 9 million times. That resulted in a check for $6,500.
Somebody's making money, though.
Exactly.
It's not you.
It's not me. So think about that, folks. If you were a songwriter and your songs were played 9 million times over the course of a decade or more, and the end result is you get a check for $6,500, it's unbelievable. I mean, if we got $1 for every stream, I would be a pretty wealthy guy.
Dude.
I'd have $9 million sitting in the bank.
Yep.
So now you could just do the math. You could just back solve it and say, well, I mean, how much is Mike or anybody else getting paid to have 9 million streams and only get a check for $6,500? It's a pittance.
Yeah, you're not even making. Yeah, it's so low.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. And now they want to bring AI in to basically replace
real music,
real people.
Yeah. And those apps, you nailed it when you said that there's apps out there because I see it on YouTube when I'm doing, like, I research a lot of stuff on YouTube, and now I'm seeing these, and it's probably because I'm always looking up music and I'm very looking up drumming and stuff and that, so I'm getting all these ads for, like, and they're out there now. There's about 3 of them that I've seen, like, oh, you write a song in 3 seconds, like, it's so easy, and I'm just like, here we go, and this is a problem, and I love what you said. People think they're writing a song. No, you're giving it like a little bit of input, and then it's generating the song. But that people think that's how you write a song, and I just see the problems with this. And those apps are out there. They really are. I saw 3 of them already. There's probably 20.
Yeah, you're typing into a prompt. It's no different than a kid that gets a homework assignment, and then they go home and they type into the prompt in Chat GTP and get the answer. And then the kid can turn around and say what? That he researched this? He did the studying in order to generate the paper he's going to turn in? No. He typed a couple of words into a prompt into Chat GTP, copied and pasted, and then handed the paper in to his teacher. No, the teacher's going to grade Chat GTP, not the kid. The kid typed a prompt and then he walked away and did whatever he does. It wasn't the homework.
That's right.
Wasn't doing the homework. So it's the same thing with the AI and the music. It's really over the top now. And if the brakes aren't put on and something definitive is not put in place, like it gets shut down from the standpoint of, no, you cannot steal music from artists, then they will do it. I'm on SoundCloud. The terms of service of SoundCloud, it has changed because they got caught. Originally, their terms of service on SoundCloud said that they can take your music, my music, your music, whoever's out there, whoever's on SoundCloud, and by uploading, you're giving SoundCloud permission for their AI to learn from your stuff, to scrape your music.
Wow.
And when that came out, SoundCloud immediately turned around and said, no, okay, right, we don't really mean that. We don't really mean that. It's in your terms of service.
Right.
No, you did mean it because that's how you wrote it. So what happened was when the pressure was applied and it was discovered, they changed their terms of service. And now what they say is, to allow us to do that, you have to opt in. Okay, fine. If you want to opt into something like that, that's your call. But before, it wasn't an opt-in. Before, it was just by uploading, we get to do what we want to do with your music for the purposes of furthering artificial intelligence. It's crazy. It really is.
And what do you want to? If you want to, and I would. This is my compromise that I would kind of have, and I'm just being kind of funny in a way. But if you're going to use one of these apps to so-called write a song, at least be honest enough to tell people that, this is how you wrote it, which people aren't doing, by the way. They're claiming that they wrote it and stuff like that, which is probably going to lead into maybe what you spoke about on the email in a way. And I would say, if people would say that, I'd be like, okay, at least they're saying that AI did it, but they're not doing that. That's the problem. And you brought up something really interesting in the email, which is something I've been noticing more and researching more too, with people just blatantly stealing and claiming it their own. So maybe you want to talk about what you wanted to bring up, because this is something I've been talking about as well. It's really cool that we're kind of on the same page with a lot of this stuff that you brought up.
I mean, I think I said in the email, this is indicative of how society thinks today. So I'll tell the story as quickly as possible.
Yeah, perfect.
Here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I subscribe to a particular music channel. It's Danny Sapko, and Danny's a bassist out of the UK. And he's very funny. He's a very good bass player, and he brings a lot of humor into his videos. So
nice.
You get a laugh. So he's fun to watch. I guess about 2 months ago, Danny put this video up, and he exposed this guy. His name is Giacomo Tura. He's out of Italy, and he was an Instagram sensation as it pertains to guitar videos. And he had I think he had something like 750,000 followers on Instagram.
Wow.
Maybe it's ridiculous. Maybe even more. And so this guy was depicting himself as a phenomenal guitar player. And when people watched his videos, now I'm not on Instagram, so I didn't find any of this out. I didn't even know who this Giacomo Tura was until I watched Danny's video. So Danny's explaining what he did. So what he did was he would go find videos of other guitar players, who were not well known. They had very small channels, very small YouTube channels, very small Instagram accounts, but they were great guitar players. Okay. And so these guitarists would play riffs, or they had a song that they wrote or whatever. And what this guy Giacomo Tura did, was he stole their music, never gave them credit for it. The way he went about it was he would recreate what they did, but he would do it slowed down. In other words, he didn't have the chops of the original guitar player. And so through the technology and editing and all of that stuff, then once he got it down, he would speed the video up to where it played the way it was supposed to play, properly at the right speed.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
I don't mean to laugh, but I'm just like, of course they're doing this. But here's the worst part of it. He had tabs created, and he was selling the tabs. Oh my God.
This would be like, I wrote a song, some guy steals my song, he plays my song, making people believe that it's his work, and then he takes my song and he sells it.
Sells the tab for it.
He sells the tab for it. So the shit hit the fan on YouTube and I guess Instagram as well. And so, musicians stepped up, and guitar players, and many, many musicians, didn't have to be just guitar players. They said, what the hell is this? What, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
You're stealing. And not only that, based upon what he was doing, Rick, he had received sponsorships.
Oh my, yeah. Oh wow.
And I think it was D'Angelica Guitars had a signature series guitar that they manufactured with his name.
So this guy's making money. If he's got what you said in numbers, 750,000, and it's probably more, he's making money. A lot of money.
I would assume he's making a lot of money.
He's making a lot of money.
And he's selling the tabs.
Yeah, and he's got a, yeah, I wonder, wow.
So this goes back to, like we talked the last time about how so much of this stuff is just fake.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes right along with the AI because AI is, it's not real. It's not human. And we've got people who are stealing and they're lying.
Yep.
And it's lying by omission because they're not telling people, hey, I got this guitar riff from that channel over there and I'm going to play it or recreate it and I got permission to do that. No, none of that took place. And then everything is polished up post-production with software and the technology that's used. And then the video is presented. And of course, the unknowing masses, they're watching this guy, or I'm sure there's many others that are doing this. If he's doing it, others are doing it.
Oh, I've seen it. There's way more, Mike, than you think.
And the audience is eating it up because they think this guy's real. He could not play the way he was presenting himself.
Yeah, he's deceiving people.
It's deceiving. It's a hoax. Yeah. It's like, when I don't do it anymore. I just don't do it anymore. But going back to the days when I was on Facebook, which I haven't been on Facebook in a long time, and I put some of these videos up on my guitar channel, which is in archive mode now on YouTube. I used to play the backing tracks. I was telling you this. Mm-hmm. And when I played to those backing tracks, what you heard was live. And every once in a while you might make a mistake. Yeah, okay, that's being human.
That's awesome. I love that part.
But what's happening now is this whole artificial presentation, and because it's artificial and because it's near perfection, because of all the editing and the technology it's being used to pull it together, it's creating a situation where people who don't know any better are afraid to present themselves musically or vocally because they feel I don't measure up to that person. That person's not genuine. That person's not playing live. Everything has been buffed up and polished up for presentation purposes. The whole miming bit has been going on for a long time, and your bands, your big bands, many of them do that when they play live, FYI. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I don't know, Rick. It just seems to me like...
Oh, it's really discouraging, and I'm glad we're talking about it, and I'll keep talking about it. So, and I have been, because I just want people to start becoming more aware of it, that this is going on. And I watch a YouTube channel, Wings of Pegasus.
Phil's channel,
yeah, Phil's great. I'm trying to get him on the show, but he's so busy. But he's breaking down singing, and I was shocked because I'm not a singer, but I love his videos because once again, it's tying into what you just brought up, is that they're polishing. And what's crazy is it's really good singers that don't need any auto tuning or anything like that. But that's what they're doing now. Everything's getting tampered with. And I just wonder, like, what people are going to want original, real music. I do.
Yeah.
And I don't understand I don't know the thinking. I don't know who's behind all of this. Like going, oh, we have like a great singer like Adele or something. Like, oh, we got to mess with it and put it through all this, fake stuff to like, all these auto tune and stuff that they don't need. And this perfection thing that is not real. And it does. I can tell auto tune now so quick on a voice. It's crazy.
It just doesn't sound natural.
Real.
No, it doesn't. No, not at all. And I can tell too. And
it's rampant now. Like it's on everything. That's the part that I'm discouraged about, Mike, is that I'm hearing it everywhere. And it's supposedly live, and it's not live. It may have been filmed live, but they've edited it after. It's not live.
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to remember the band Thin Lizzy. Thin Lizzy did a live album going back in the 70s called Live and Dangerous, and 75% of that album was redone in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
So if you went to the concert and then you bought the live album after you went to the concert, that wasn't what you heard when they played live.
Yeah. Kiss is the same way. Kiss Live is the same way. They finally admitted, we took it in and we edited a little, but it's really not that bad. And then you find out that they edited a lot more than they admitted.
Well, I have actually, it's like a pamphlet that was put out back in 1965 that has to do with the Beatles. It was like a Beatles magazine. I forgot the name of it, Beatles Monthly or something like that. And they were talking about Brian Epstein, who was their manager at the time, wanted to release the music from their Shea Stadium performance, but they had to go in and overdub the vocals because there was so much noise at the concert, right?
Right, yeah.
Right, and they were singing through a PA system. The point I'm trying to make is that even going back 60 years, this is what they were doing. The product that you receive, whether it be a CD, whether it be vinyl, video, a lot of this stuff has been redone, enhanced, edited, polished up, like I said before, buffed up for the consumer. So it's been going on a long time, but where we're at today it's just a whole, I mean, it's at a whole different level.
Oh, it's even worse now. Like, and I admit that, like and then you're right, there have been lip syncing, and then people are getting caught doing that really bad now. Like a lot of bands
Henley.
All of them. Yeah, a lot of them are doing all, and then they say, oh, well, they're backing tracks. Like at first they denied it, and then they said, oh, no, and then we all use backing tracks, but it's just this weird progression, and then, like you said, now we're into a really bad area with this AI, and I just see problems, and we're seeing problems. I mean, it's not like we're saying anything that's not happening, and if we're talking about it, it's even worse than what we're bringing up, and that's what I'm seeing. And a lot of people I talk to, which kind of bums me out, they don't really seem to care unless they're really big music lovers or a musician. I speak to musicians, they care. They care a lot.
Well, musicians care because musicians create music.
That's right.
And see, that's the problem we have with society in general. People don't care. They really don't focus on the big picture. They don't understand what this could mean down the line, and that whatever they're doing here, they plan on doing it here, there, and there as well, not just with music. So as an example, let's just take this whole AI thing. I did a video going back about 4 years ago, Rick, during the whole, C19 bit. And I said where they're going with this, and I was talking to the healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses, PAs, and so on. I said, you're going to be out of work in about 10 years, in about a decade, you're going to be out of work because they're going to replace you with artificial intelligence. So your primary care physician, if you get sick, is going to be you at home talking to some AI created being. It looks like a doctor with a stethoscope who's going to look real to you. And you're going to explain what your symptoms are, what you're feeling, and then they're going to explain what it could possibly be, and then prescribe medicine for you. I'm sure there's people listening to this saying, well, I don't see why that's a bad thing. Well,
I do.
The problem we have with it, for those who are thinking that way, is the whole human aspect of interacting has disappeared. I mean, do you really want to spend your life, especially the young people, talking to artificial beings, to machines? And some people, I guess, are going to say, yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but okay. But let me just say this to them, Rick. It's your future. It's your future. If you're a young person and you're okay with all this stuff and you're not pushing back and you're not questioning it, then you're going to live with the results. Not me. I'm 66 years old. I'll be having a beer up north,
saying, I told you so, when it all comes. Yeah, I told them this was coming, and you're not lying. You're absolutely right that they got dating apps now where you can date an AI, whatever, AI. It's just crazy, and I'm like, and this is the way we're going. And what frustrates me, Mike, is that they're killing creativity.
Yes.
And they really are, and it sounds drastic when I say that, but they really are. Like, we're going to get to a point where there's nothing really has any emotion behind it. It's going to be AR. It's going to be AI art, and that's why when I see people do AI thumbnails for their videos, and I've done it. I admit, I've
done it too. Yeah,
I've messed with it. I'm like, damn, this actually. I get why people are addicted. I don't do it now. I did it once, and I'm like, I'm done with that. But
well, the reason why I do it is because I started doing it was because when I was doing the Beatles research,
right,
I didn't want to get jammed up with copyright. Oh, you can't use that image.
Oh, that's a good point.
So for the thumbnails, I started resorting to just doing some AI. Nothing else in the video was AI, just a thumbnail. But look, my thing with AI is that as a tool to enhance productivity, to enhance creativity, I think it's okay. But that's not what it's being used for. It's being used to replace human creativity.
That's what I say. Yep,
that's what it's being used for. So it's not there just to help you. It starts that way. Oh, this is very helpful. Look, that's great. But little by little, what happens is they just assimilate it into their life. It becomes part of their day in and day out living. Before you know it, it becomes larger than life.
That's right. And I know YouTube channels that were doing shows where there was them, like they were doing the talking, and they weren't necessarily always on camera, but it was definitely them doing the audio and stuff. And then I could tell over time they started doing a little bit of AI, and it's getting worse. Some of them now are actually just it's strictly AI voices and AI imagery. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, I want real people. Thank you. That's why I like this radio show, and I like radio and watching interviews with real people. I love your show because you're on there when you were doing your guitar one where you were showing everyone your guitars. I'm like, that's what people want.
Yeah.
They want real people.
Yeah, because people can relate to that. And I mean, I watch videos like that, and guitar videos where guy comes out and says, "Hey, let me show you my collection, or let me show you my studio." I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool, man. Let me, let's take a look at that." That's interesting to me.
Me too.
But I don't know, Rick.
Well, how do you think I don't know how you stop it. That's what, because I'm looking at the time and I know we only got an hour and I'm going to definitely, I'll have you back in a couple of months. I always have you back because I love our conversations. So I'll be offering you to come back. But we got like another, 12 minutes or so,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. I want to know let's think of solutions. Like my solution is don't support it. I don't know what more we can do except go through the court systems, and that's for the bigger fish like the music companies and that. But what can we do as individuals? What do you think? What are some of you? Do you have any thoughts?
Don't use it, especially if you're a musician. Do not use it because you're selling yourself out. I can't stop non-musicians from going in there and thinking that they're creating a song. I mean, if you want to be that blind to what's really going on, fine, knock yourself out. I have no control over that. But for fellow musicians and songwriters, don't use it. And, whenever you get the opportunity to talk about it, or if somebody asks you about it, don't praise it. Just say, look, it's a problem. It's a big problem. And it's actually a microcosm of a much larger issue with AI that's going to roll out across our society. As an example, I mean, I don't want to get into a political thing on this, but
no, go ahead.
The Trump administration just cut a deal with Palantir to create a massive surveillance database using AI for every American.
Oh, great.
Okay, so when I say that what's going on in the music industry with AI is a microcosm of the macro, well, the macro, there's a macro for you, okay, where every American, I'm not, and if you don't believe me on this, just go in and do a search on Trump Palantir surveillance or whatever, just pick your words, and you'll see they have very large government contracts, and they have been tapped to create this big brother database that's going to be run by artificial intelligence. And what that's going to lead to, Rick, I mean, I know you and I have talked about this stuff before too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. It's going to lead to social credit scores and stuff like that. And if you don't know what a social credit score is, you can take a look at what's going on in China. So if you don't fall in line and you don't just go with the flow as far as what you're told to do by the government, then what's going to happen is your social credit score is going to get dinged. Yeah. And so some people might say, well, what does that mean? Well, it means you're going to be prohibited from being able to interact with certain activities in society. Like what? You might not be able to travel, or you may have your bank account frozen, or something you want to buy, you might be denied from purchasing whatever it is you want to purchase because somebody somewhere in the world of artificial intelligence determined that what you want to buy isn't good for you. So I know it sounds like crazy shit, but
we're there, man.
But that's where it's going. And so again, folks, look at the Palantir.
And it's a good thing, like you're bringing that up, because it does wrap this full circle. It's like, I know we're talking music, and I talk about movies, that it's going that way too, where they're going to be able to just put an actor's face on whatever they want, which they are doing now. So I don't know why I'm saying this. Is like it's a new thing.
If you're an actor or actress in Hollywood, I mean, you better be shitting your pants because you're not going to be needed anymore. Did you see Google's AI? I took a quick look. Rick, it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It's scary, and people are looking at this, and I keep telling them, like, you have to look into this. You have to spend some time, and I'm glad you brought up Google, man. It's scary.
They're going to be out of work.
Exactly, and that's why I keep trying to say. Like, remember Napster? Like, for the people that are older, like that's my best example. It's like nobody thought this was going to make a big impact, and I'm like, it just rocked the world. And I'm like, this is where AI is worse with AI actually, but it's just a good example. And you bring up great points, and Yeah, and I was just God, I wish we had more time. Anyways, we'll bring it up next time. But I was gonna say, like what you were talking about with the social credit scores, there's some stores I was watching a documentary, and they have like just these corner stores. They have facial recognition, and if you have a record or anything, or they have some way that they can deny you. And people that didn't have any were good people. They weren't allowed in the store because this AI was saying that they had like a record or
Right.
something like that. And I'm just like, oh my God, that scared me that you can't even get into a corner store or a gas station because this AI is saying, no, you can't come in and the door won't open. They can't open the door.
I know, and people think that this is some kind of like sci-fi movie we're talking about, that this could
No.
never happen, but this stuff is already in place in China. I
Hmm.
mean, I watched, there were videos from people who live in China, and they're actually advocates of the surveillance state in China, and they're probably propaganda accounts, because they say, well, there's no crime. There's no crime because everybody's caught on camera, everybody can be identified with facial recognition, so on, you know. But that's just a way to sell it to you. Do you really want to be surveilled to that degree?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I don't know.
It seems to
Anyway,
be, yeah, it's just we're on a slippery slope is what I like to tell people, and
yep.
that just become aware of what's going on. And I'm glad that we kind of brought this full circle because you're very right. You can talk about it in the music, especially, and then in the movies, but it's also, we got the macro, which is happening around us at a bigger scale than even that. And that's something to make people aware of. But we only got a couple more minutes. Like, I want to make sure I give you time. Let everyone know where they can find your work. Give them some addresses and web addresses or YouTube. Let people know where they can find you.
Okay, so for my music, you just head over to laboroflovemusic.com. That's my music site. And my other site is sageofquay.com. But since Rick and I are talking about music, I would prefer that just head over to my music site, laboroflovemusic.com. All of my links are there. I've got my music on SoundCloud. It's on Reverb Nation. You can buy my music on Bandcamp and also Reverb Nation. So that's it. It's basically one-stop shop. And
That's awesome.
yeah.
And I'll best way have you back, and we can continue this. I really enjoy having you on, Mike. I look forward to these talks. I really do. And people in the chat are already messaging me and saying that they love the conversation. So this is something that people are, they're resonating with. I'm sure, I know my listeners that love music are worried about it, and we talk about it. So it's kind of great that I had you on here, a fellow musician, and give your thoughts on it, because this is going to be a problem. And you're right. I hope it doesn't get to that point where it's uncontrollable. I don't know how they're going to put a leash on it, but I hope something is done with the courts and that there is some safety for artists and there's some compensation, because I mean, they're already getting screwed. That is so much money, and this is just going to make it worse if AI is allowed to run amok. So thank you for being here, Mike. You're awesome, and I love your videos. Please check it out, guys. Check out Mike's work. Go to his website. Great music there, and I'm going to keep you guys posted on his album when it comes out, and we'll have you back on really soon, Mike.
Thank you, Rick.